Hey you guys, what's up? I'm Ashley from heavenathome.org, and this is the Heaven at Home podcast, where my goal is to encourage you in your personal growth journey while being open, honest, and owning my story. We have faith-based conversations and tackle a bunch of different tough topics. Check out the description to follow me and learn more. Remember, you are fully known and deeply loved. Let's do this. Hey guys. Y'all can let me know if you relate to this or not, but have you ever just found yourself thinking like, okay, starting tomorrow or, starting right now, like we're going to go back to the beginning. We're going to do this again. We're going to do it right. And this time it's going to be perfect and flawless. Sometimes like if I'm trying to do a cover of a song, like I wait to post something until I think it's completely perfect, or fitness, health, whatever it has to do with any area of life. Is there any area where you just, man, I want to start over, I want to start from the beginning, or it would be nice to go back and just have a completely fresh start? So I found myself, as we were approaching the new year, like this past December, like I was really looking forward to the new year. And I was really attracted to the idea of being able to have anything in my life that looked completely new, like having new health goals, new goals for my blog, my podcast, new professional goals, a new outlook on the future, a new perspective on family. And the more that I tried to pursue that idea of having something that looked new, the more that I realized it wasn't actually possible for me. And maybe that just has to do with my circumstances. Maybe that's just because I'm getting older, but it's almost like I realized in trying to have something that was new that I actually just need to learn how to make do with what I have. There was just a lot that happened the last several years, and especially in 2022, there was a lot that was going to be carrying over into 2023. And I was kind of jealous, that people could just have that mental fresh start. And for some reason, the concept of having anything new was something that I thought was out of reach for me. And I do tend to be the kind of person to think like, okay, if this doesn't work, I'm just going to start again. I'm going to start over. I'm going to start new. I'm going to start fresh. And I kind of feel like a lot of us think like that sometimes. I think when we're going through processes we don't like, when we see the outcomes of situations and we're like, I don't like how that went, or, I didn't like the result of this. We think, okay, well, I'll just start over. And I've been wondering if there are times that, it's just unrealistic to think that way. And it's just weird because I've thought like this for so long, like, man, okay, I can start again. I can start over. And I'm just like, man, like, is that an unrealistic expectation? Like, we don't always get a clean slate. We don't always get to start over. So when we come to a point in our lives where we have to realize that for ourselves, how do we cope when we're trying to move forward? How do we push through that? I think a lot of my reasons for wanting to start over are mostly, like in my case, to avoid pain. Like I'm like, okay, if I could start over, then I wouldn't have to face this pain as much. I wouldn't have to manage my emotions or my thoughts or my soul, really. Like I wouldn't have to put all this work into just taking care of myself. Or like, I think there are also probably people out there who are just uncomfortable with failing or messing up. And there's just something about the concept of starting over that makes us think, okay, like we don't have to, like we can just cross that out. We don't have to face that screw up. But I think there are smaller, more everyday versions that, we all deal with at some point. And so I do personally think there's still value in understanding newness, like understanding that every day is a new day. We get a chance to do something new, approach something in a different way, and we can decide what we want to do and how we want to do it. We can, we can be an active participant. We can actively create a new path for ourselves. But that's not to say that it's not to say that it's always possible to avoid remnants of our life. So another thing I realized was that starting over doesn't guarantee happiness or fulfillment either. And it doesn't make your problems go away. And I realized it's actually kind of powerful to decide to make something out of what you currently have. Like, there are so many benefits. There are so many benefits to just not starting over. There's so many benefits from looking at your life at the point where you are living it, learning everything you've learned. And so I just wanted to talk about a couple of those that I thought about. It's really like just a handful. But the first benefit of not starting over is that it gives you a chance to develop a new, stronger kind of mental resilience. There's this trend that I've been seeing on social media, specifically TikTok, where people are taking like ice baths. And, they're doing it for, I don't know, the way that it affects their brain or something makes them more relaxed or God knows what else. I just look at the video and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm freezing cold just looking at this. But, that concept of doing something that you strongly dislike, but deciding to do it anyway, like that's like mental resilience. Like I don't know if I read it somewhere, if I heard it somewhere, but someone said something along the lines of like, if you do something that's good for you, but that you like actually despise, like you hate doing it, you're creating a mental toughness, right? So when you're able to just start right where you are, like to be able to see a situation as it is and kind of just make this determination that you can do something with what remains, like I feel like that's really powerful. And I feel like in a lot of ways, it kind of mimics the way that God is with us because we are messy. We are very messy and we make a lot of mistakes. And I feel like he sees us for everything that we are, everything that we're not. And he sees us for everything that we're capable of being. And he thinks, yeah, like I could do something with that. I can do something with this. And I feel like us being able to adopt that perspective, that kind of outlook on life can produce a strength and a perseverance you need in order to make it through the hard seasons in life. I think another benefit of not starting over, of choosing not to start over, is that we can focus more on learning from our mistakes. Like when we see that we did something, like we went through a process and we're like, I didn't like the way that was done. I feel like it could have been better. I didn't like the outcome. Failing was really embarrassing, or like, anything else. Like when all that stuff happens and you think, oh, like I'm just going to start over, then in a way you can kind of just break apart from what happened and you don't really have to think twice about the things that you could have done better. So it gives you a chance to really and truly and genuinely learn from your mistakes. When we think of starting over, sometimes it's so that we don't have to face that ourselves. We don't have to face our errors. We don't have to face our mistakes. We kind of just mentally cross something out of our mind and we're like, okay, well, because I messed up, because I failed, I have to start over. I have to start again. But when you kind of take that extra moment to be accountable to yourself, where you can give yourself grace for your process while still maintaining like some level of conviction to do better next time, I think that allows for real learning and real growth. And especially when you allow God into your process, the emotions that come up with choosing to do something like that, I don't know. I just feel like it gives you a really great chance to be honest with God about what's really going on, in the heart of the matter. Because as much as we would like to be, we're not perfect. And as much as we would like life to be easy, it's not. I think another benefit in not starting over is that you can see the value in the things that you did right. So, when you have the courage to start right exactly where you are, it gives you a real chance to take inventory. And in the same way, it gives you, a greater ability to learn from your mistakes. It also grants you the chance to see the things that you did right, the things that you did well, the areas where you showed strength, the areas where you showed success, the little things you did that made a difference. It just gives you a more holistic view of you and your process. And then the other thing, which is I kind of like this tip the most. When you decide not to start over, and when you decide to start right where you are, you can learn to accept your life for what it is. And that's a big, big thing. As the kind of person who likes to have it all and do it all, and, I've recently been struggling with this feeling of not just being not valuable, which I think I shared, but more so just like being a disappointment in the areas that matter to me, because things didn't turn out how I wanted or how I desired. It's weird to look around and be like, man, like this is kind of disappointing. Like my life is kind of disappointing. For me, getting to a point where I can accept all the circumstances of my life, that's kind of huge. Being able to start where I am means that I can come to terms with the hand that I've been dealt, and I can let go of what was. I can let go of what I expected, and I can just accept life for what it is. I don't know how to explain, the depth of that, but I almost feel like it's very grounding to be present for myself in that way, like to focus on one day and one moment at a time, and to see what's mine, what's within my realm of control. And for me especially, like another thing, because if there's anything I've learned, is that I have no control, or I have very little control. So another thing for me has just been deciding that I'm still going to allow God room to lead me and guide me and be the head of my house, and be the one that I go to for decisions. Like, despite the fact that I quote unquote have nothing to show for it. I don't know how to explain that, but I just feel like it's been very empowering, when I feel out of control, to have someone who is always looking out for me. I can put it like that. Another benefit to not starting over is that you can set realistic expectations. For me, this is another thing that I struggle with all the time, is just always trying to do, because I'm trying to do everything and be everything, it's very easy to burn out. And I usually set very, very high expectations of myself, so that it's kind of weird. I kind of psych myself out, but I set super high expectations so that if I don't meet those expectations, at the very least, I'm like at a moderate amount of achievement. I don't know if that makes sense. But I just feel like, it's all these little benefits that they add up all together, and you're given all these different opportunities to take inventory of your life, and it gives you the ability to set realistic expectations for your future. Like, now that you have a solid foundation, you can build from it. And, out of everything you learned, out of every area where you were strong, every area that needs improvement, like, you can look at your life right where you are, and you can think, where would you like to be? How do you want to move forward? What lessons do you want to take with you? What things can you do better next time? What do you want your life to look like? Another benefit, and this is probably going to be my last one, but is that you can acknowledge the power that you have to make something, even if you think you're making something out of nothing. There's this quote that I ran into writing a post for my blog, and it's by Theodore Roosevelt, and he said, "Do what you can where you are with what you have." And for me, like, for 2023, I feel like that's been my mantra. Like, even before I came across the quote, like, that's just what I've been thinking. Like, this is what I have, and this is where I am. This is where God wants me. I'm going to do what I can to make the most of it. And so if you've found yourself in a similar position at all, or at any point where you're like, man, I really wish I could go back and start over, or you're like, you have a list of goals somewhere that have just kind of, fallen off the shelf or whatever, you want to pick those up again, or if you feel you've made too many mistakes, your life is too messy, or anything like that, I just want to encourage you and let you know that it's not only okay to start right where you are. In my opinion, it's probably what's best. And I don't know. We're not, just because we're messy and imperfect, and just because life is hard and difficult and all these things, it doesn't mean that we're without hope. And I feel like it's so, for me at least, it's been so crucial for me to be willing to be present, number one, and actively participate in my life only by allowing God sovereignty. All of this is something I would not have been able to do without him. Like all these benefits that I mentioned that come with not starting over. I feel like I'm only really able to realize these because I'm not doing them alone. Like the concept of strength with mental resilience. Like, he is my strength. And, when I make mistakes and when I screw up, or, when things just become too much, like, his grace is new every morning. And when, I'm looking at the things that I did right, like taking on this perspective that God sees me and he knows me and he values me, kind of learning to see myself through his perspective. I don't know. I feel like all those little things, they can be very practical benefits, but I just feel like it's also a very strong spiritual reward as well. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to take a little bit of time to talk that over and share it. A little bit about me and my process and my perspective, and just want to encourage you guys to do the same. Like, however messy and screwed up your life is, if we're all on this boat together, there's still hope, for sure. And so I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Thank you guys so much for listening. Feel free to DM me to send me your feedback. Check out the description below to follow me on social media. This podcast is listener supported. Don't forget to subscribe. Remember, you are fully known and deeply loved. I'll see you in the next one.